I think beginning a video is probably one of the hardest things that can be done. So we're just gonna jump into it. My longtime best friend, Ethan, is turning 23 on June 8th, 2025, and he's a very wonderful person. We live about 5 hours apart. I am going to visit him for his birthday later this month, but I wanted to get him something for his birthday because I feel like I don't normally get him anything, and so I was like, hey, what do you want that won't give you more clutter, that would actually be useful, something that would make you happy? And he said, I would actually really like the Avenged Sevenfold self-titled album on vinyl. And I was like, okay, cool. My mischievous little rat brain, the very first thing that I thought of was, what if I gave him the album and it was in the correct cover and the vinyl looked the exact same, but it was an entire album in an a cappella version made by me. I'm not musically inclined whatsoever. I'm really bad at singing. I'm really bad at knowing how music works. I love music. I love music, but I really don't understand how it works. I don't know anything about music theory. I don't know any. You could tell me like a C sharp, and I'd be like, I don't know what that is. So I was like, who else, other than me, to do that? I was looking into it, and it seemed pretty feasible at first. I hadn't listened to the album yet. I've never really listened to Avenged Sevenfold. After having done this, I definitely will, more recreationally than how I was. So I was looking into it, and it seemed like I could do it. There's vinyl printing companies, all over that did it for a pretty reasonable price. I just had to put in the work to make the MP3 files. However, I wasn't sure where to start with matching the pace. So I was looking originally at a YouTube video of someone doing it with their piano, and it had the bars. So I could match the sound of the piano and know, I basically put a roll onto the blue and the pink, because there was blue bars, pink bars. I put a roll onto the blue and then a roll onto the pink, and they sounded the same until the pink jutted off and did something different. So I did that. I was just really wishing that there was some kind of how Guitar Hero does the little colored beads that you play on cue. I just looked up Guitar Hero Avenged Sevenfold critical acclaim. Avenged Sevenfold has their whole self-titled album on Guitar Hero. So I used that to follow along. So I was playing guitar karaoke and drum karaoke and karaoke, and that's how I made it. What I did not realize, however, was that almost all of the songs on their self-titled album are 5 to 8 minutes long. And I was like, this is a little harder than I thought. And then I listened to some of the songs and I said, they have a lot of guitar riffs. I am not good at making a guitar sound. So it's been an interesting challenge. I started out really intricate, doing a lot of different sounds, trying to get the drums, a cymbal. Oh, you just gotta be like, boom, boom, yeah, and all that stuff. And I think I gave up about halfway through. I started with my first one. There was a lot of trial and error with that. Okay. It took me about the whole night to get the piano done, the opening piano of Critical Acclaim. And it was at this point that I realized if I wasn't even at the first guitar riff, I probably wasn't going to have the entire album done by the weekend that I go to visit. So we readjusted. Just do the Critical Acclaim song. The full song, but just one song. So I worked on that, and then eventually I was ready to try out the guitar. Took a couple attempts at something that would sound suitable, but then it just ended up being a cat screaming. Those poor neighbors. Which is fine too. I think it really adds to the authenticity of what I'm doing. So it ended up being 6 or 8 minutes of a cat screaming into the microphone. That goes, and of course I have to give the sample to my roommate. And she gave it a big old thumbs up. It's gonna be great. So we proceeded. And then I started over. So what I always do with every creative project of mine, I started completely over. And I am no expert on how to make this, and I wanted to do it friendly for my budget. So I used Audacity and my good old Bose headphones and my Yeti microphone. 2 weeks working on it on and off. I spent most of my time working on it in big stints during the evening. I think I made this ultimately in 2 to 3 days, but it's been the span of multiple weeks. But it was probably 4 or 5 hours I spent the first evening working on just getting used to Audacity, and then doing the piano and doing the guitar, and then I got more into the groove and I understood the song rhythm, so I was better able to anticipate what things would sound like and what I needed to do, so it got a lot easier. There were even some parts where I just copied, I'm pretty sure, the drum beat, and I am not familiar with Audacity in the slightest, so I just kept making new stereo tracks instead of just like having it more organized. I just kept like staggering everything. It was a lot. Once the whole song was put together, it was time for the lyrics, which I didn't record because I thought it would be pretty easy to do. It was not. The lyrics are hard because there are parts where the lead singer kind of goes off pace with what you expect. And you get into how does it feel to know the heart of America, blah, 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 blah. On the second chorus, he doesn't match that exactly. He draws out words different than in the last one, so it's a lot harder to follow along to, and it took me a couple tries. More than I expected, at least. Otherwise, it honestly went okay. I'm not a good singer. Self-righteousness is wearing thin. So I was going more for the monotone approach to this, just to add to the comedical effect, the silly factor by just singing terribly, like whenever I could. And also just not really singing when I could. There were a lot of times I was really just talking to the beat of the song. Wasn't terrible. I wouldn't recommend doing an entire album unless you don't have a job or any corporeal obligations. But I've been yapping your ear off, showing you this process. The song's already a 5.5 minute long song, so why don't I just show you the finished product? And because I don't have any backup dancers, I'm just gonna show something else while the song plays.
off like me. You've been at it for too long. While you feed off others' insecurities, you stand in front of me and fight the hand that feeds. Self-righteousness is wearing thin. I'll bleed but not for fellow men. I've had enough, it's all for something real. Don't respect the words you speak and gone too far. A clone. How does it feel to know that someone's kid in the heart of America has blood on their hands, fighting to defend your rights so you could maintain a lifestyle that insults his family's existence? Where I'm from, we have a special salute waved high in the air for all the papas who spend their days pointing fingers. Quiet, you might piss somebody off. Like the heartbeat of this country when antagonized too long. I'll be damned if you count me in as part of your generous hypocrisy, collecting enemies. Tabloid gossip queen, worthless man. Selfish agenda once again. I've had enough, it's all for something real. Don't respect the words you speak and gone too far. A clone. All the way from the east to the west, we've got this high society looking down on their very foundation, constantly reminding us that our actions are the cause of all their problems, pointing their fingers in every direction, blaming their own nation for who wins elections. They've never contributed a thing to the country they love. Excuse the obscene, ignore the untrue depictions we see, try to get through. Admitting mistakes can hurt. I'm not the last, but I sure ain't the first. Quiet, you might miss somebody. Self-righteousness is wearing thin. I'll bleed but not for fellow men. Not enough, it's all for something real. Don't respect the words you speak and gone too far. A clone. Yeah.